It's not often that I run across a company that has embedded sampling as a core part of their strategy from very early on. So today it is my pleasure to welcome Melissa to this interview where we're going to talk about how she's making sampling strategies work to grow her business and to lead to new business. So welcome, Melissa. Can you share the background of your company and how you first started making products?
Absolutely. And thank you so very much for including me in this wonderful session. I'm so looking forward to this. I am, let's say, about almost 4 years into my business, but I started out needing to incorporate wellness in my life. And by doing that, I started out with aromatherapy. And I was using essential oils to help calm me or relax me or energize me in just different ways. And then I just wanted to see how I could use them in my everyday life and decided one day, let me try to make cleaning products so that I can go natural, plant based, and know what ingredients I'm putting in my products. And so I just started practicing and playing around with things. And COVID hit, and my friends and family couldn't get cleaning products. So they
Mm.
called me knowing that I was playing around and trying to do make cleaning products and doing things like that. And then they said, well, we can't get cleaning products. Can you help us out? And I'm like, sure, I'll send you a couple of samples to try this and see if you like it. And they loved it. So eventually, after things kind of went on, they started saying, hey, how much are you going to charge me for this? And I decided, I'll guess I can do that, but I had to do more research in order to make that happen. So I did, and then my HoneyB store started. I put my website up, started going live and started sending out samples to more family and friends, and that's how I got started with my HoneyB store.
Mhm. That's such a fun story, and it's a nice story too, right? About so often it's wonderful when friends and family do support because they want your products, and that's not always everybody's story. So it's really nice when you can start there and then branch out from there. But you're using a lot of eco-friendly materials, and working with eco-friendly materials, it's a different journey, and the
Absolutely.
products there's a lot of trial and error involved in that. So for
Yes.
someone that's starting to think about using more eco-friendly and some of those types of materials, can
Right.
you share some lessons learned in your journey and what it was like for experimenting, for product design, for someone that might be thinking about doing it but hasn't kind of started down that path yet?
Okay. So you're absolutely correct. Using eco-friendly products, natural, organic, it was a lot different than using conventional products, and I found that out, especially with the using essential oils to fragrance, not necessarily what big box companies use is fragrance. Like it's usually something synthetic, and it does work differently in products. So, and just trying to figure out how to emulsify essential oils and premium fragrance oils in a product, in a cleaner that's basically water, and you put an oil in it and they don't mix. I had to figure out, okay, how can I get these two ingredients to emulsify together and disperse without the oils rising to the top. So it was research and finding out what natural emulsifiers, because I wanted to remain plant based, eco friendly, and everything I did in my products for my company. That was my mission. So testing different emulsifiers, figuring out that, okay, I can't just sell a product without a preservative because that's not good. That's not safe. No one wants little nasties in their products, right? So it was researching, okay, what's the right preservative for something like this? What do I do? So I did a lot of research, took a lot of time, I allowed myself to make mistakes, and I didn't beat myself up about it. I was fortunate enough that I did have family and friends who I could send these little samples off to say, hey, try this, and use this, and let me know what you think. Is it getting grease off of your stove, or is it picking up the grime? Is it picking up that weird ring you may have in your toilet because you got awful water in your state? So I was fortunate in that I did have family and friends that could assist me in sampling the products. And being eco-friendly was not about being perfect. It was about being intentional and making thoughtful decisions, and making the the decision to do things that would be plant based, that would be eco friendly, and to improve myself. That products that I made you feel good, smell good, and do good. That was my mission, so that's what I did. And the sampling part was the sensible samples were very important. The way I saw my samples were like, every time I sent out a sample, it was a little brand ambassador that was going off to represent me in my HoneyB store, and it had to be a great experience. That was my thought. And if someone was ordering a cleaning product, I would tuck away in that box a sample of a body product, a body wash, a body oil, a body cream, something for them to try. And knowing that they may like lemon, I may have done like a lemon vanilla cream, or I may have made it a little different from a cleaning scent and made it
Hmm.
more specific and customized for something for the body. And that's how I was able to get those little ambassadors out, so people could try. Now, if I had to give advice to someone who was starting out, an artisan who was starting out, I would say, first of all, start off slow. Start off with maybe one product, one item, and work with that. Um, and then I would say, do testing. Test, and retest. If you're fortunate enough to have someone that you can get to assist you, like a panel of people, customers or friends or family, some people that you trust and can give you feedback. That's very important as well, because when you're putting something out there, you don't want to be the only person who has tried it, because you might not know. Because you're maybe just a little biased, but then again, you might be too hard on yourself. So you have to put things out there. So I would say, start off slow, start off with something small, have a budget, because samples, they cost money. I don't think of it as it's just a simple giveaway. It's very important to do a sample that's going to be enough, so someone can get a good idea of what your product is. So the quantity, the size, the bottle, making sure that the bottles are even eco-friendly, making sure when you're handcrafting everything that you have all of that in mind, and inputting that with intention in your product. And
Hmm.
definitely don't be afraid to make mistakes or ask people's real opinion, and take it, and don't get hurt by it.
Hmm. So
Learn from it.
I love that idea of, and we'll unpack a little bit more about the have a body of people that can try things out. Because to your point, if you, oh, I just sample it for myself and then I go out and I start selling it. Well, you don't know how it's going to work for other people with different skin types or other various situations. And so that's a really good way with the sampling with those first people of figuring out, making sure it's working in the way that's intended for more than you,
Absolutely.
as you start. And then you start to add on the same idea of those same samples that you start and you use for product testing, essentially. You then later, same containers, same kind of things that you're going to use when you do those, then as sending them off as brand ambassadors. which is such a good way to think about it, I think, as opposed to it seems like a lot of people like random samples, or I'm going to throw in an extra sample, or I'm going to whatever, where this is a little different. This
Hmm.
is more of an approach with a lot of intention around here are the scenarios I'm going to use the samples in. And
Yes.
can you share a little bit about so you start adding in samples, let's say for your body products along with your cleaning products. Can you start to share some examples of the kinds of things that you've seen as outcomes with this intention around your sampling strategy?
Absolutely. So it's it's fun because if I'm when I have a customer, I've usually have talked to them, which is not a practice that a lot of people do. You get something online, or you meet somebody and at a pop up. At a pop up is a lot easier because I'm able to talk to them.
Mhm,
I'm able to talk to them and ask the questions that are important to me to customize a scent or ingredients for them. And a lot of times someone will say, well, this has almond oil in it. I'm allergic to almond. No problem. I can substitute that with a jojoba or, something else. So that's easier at a pop-up. When you have an order online, um, you know, it's a lot more difficult to give a sample intentionally
mhm,
because all you have is what they may have selected as a scent or an
right.
item or a product. So it's like at that time, if I have not reached out, which most times I reach out to my customers who order online, first time customers, and introduce myself and
Mhm,
then have a conversation. I see you ordered lemon thyme and you must like the scent of lemon. And tell me why you like that scent. Is it energizing? How does it make you feel? What's the emodia benefit for you? What's the aromatherapy benefit? So I like to get to know my customers before I even send their order out. Sometimes I'm able to do that, sometimes I'm not. If I am unable to actually have a conversation with someone, I go by what they ordered. If they ordered a lot of
mm,
fruit based scents or florals or woodsy, then I'm going to put a sample of, you've ordered a cleaning product, I'm going to put a sample of a body product or a wax melt or air and linen spray or daily shower spray or a carpet freshener that's going to be close to that scent that you ordered, but just a
mhm.
little different. That's going to make you get very curious about what else I can do with that scent that you already know that you like. So it just depends. If I talk to someone, if I meet someone, or if they've placed an order and I've never had any contact with them, I put intent and I intentionally plan and customize the samples because, like I said, this is a this is a product that's going out to represent me. It's my little brand ambassador, and I really take that very seriously when sending out my sensible samples so that people can try them and want to buy them. That's what I do.
So now there's a fun little story I'm hoping you can share about someone that used to buy some things that led to your first wholesale customer. Which
Yes.
this is a little bit of a wild story, and I don't think people always kind of think, "Oh, it could lead to
Yeah.
some really interesting things when you start throwing in extra samples and extra products." Can you share that story?
Yes, I actually had like one of my first customers. I would say he was probably the second person to order online from me, and it was a male, and it was like my first male customer. I was like, yes, I was so excited, and and he ordered product, and then he he would he would get like the same stuff, like he would get like the same type of stuff, but I would throw in some different stuff, and he would say, oh wow, I think my mom would like that. And I was like, okay, well, let's do a sample box for your mom. So he told me some type of stuff that she liked. So I threw a box together, made it all nice and pretty, and did a big birthday box for her as well. And he sent it off to her, and she loved it. And it was all different types of samples. I mean, it was. He wanted me to just be as creative as possible, but he also gave me some insight on what she liked. This is the part of my job that I love because I love learning about my customers. I like knowing, first of all, are you allergic to anything? Second is, what scents do you like? Okay, if you like that, then you may like this and this together, kind of like getting a combination and a blending theory and a blending story because I like to have a story with like my cleaning products. I'm going to smell this when I'm cleaning, and then I'm going to have this in the air and linen spray or a wax melt or a daily shower spray or carpet freshener. So I did this whole huge sample box and product box. And this particular customer, and you never know who your customers are. This particular customer was worked at a store, a health food store. I can say the store name. It's 14 Karat Whole Foods in Lexington, South Carolina. And she was raving about the products that she got and was letting other people smell them and smell. She was just going around smelling it. And that's how I got I was contacted and said, I've smelled your product, and I've been given a couple of samples, and from someone who works here, and I think we want to do business with you and put you on the shelf. And I was like, wait a minute, what? It was like I was had no, I was that wasn't on my radar, but it
Mhm.
was one of those things that it's a blessing, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was lucky enough that I was able to get the help to do the right thing the right way, get my product on the shelf in at the 14 Karat Whole Foods in Lexington, South Carolina, and it's doing well. The customers are loving the products, the body products, the home products. They're loving it, and it all came from doing samples, little brand
Mhm.
ambassadors.
Yeah, those little brand ambassadors can be ever so powerful.
Yes,
And I think to
yes,
your point of you really don't know who that recipient is
you
on
do.
the other end and where something can go. And that's the beautiful part of that. Of here you had someone that was ordering a gift for his mom and ordering all these really nice things, and I'm sure he knew in the back of he knew exactly where his mom worked in the back in the back of his mind. Well, you never know.
Well, I didn't know. I had no
Right, you didn't.
I didn't know. And the thing about it is you never know when you send a sample if someone's going to say, "You know what?" And I my customers tell me this all the time. That wasn't for me, but I gifted that sample to someone else. And then
Mhm.
that person was like, "Oh wow, I like this," because that person may know, "Oh, I know such this person may like this scent. It's not for me, but I think I know somebody." You never know. You never know. And one of the things I would tell other artisans is make a budget for samples. Make a budget for samples because it's not, don't think of it as you're giving away or throwing away money, because you're not. Because if
Mhm.
you're doing it right and you're staying on mission of your brand, it's going to come back to you, and it's going to work. It works. Do it. Get a budget, figure out. And I was told it doesn't have to be the most expensive bottle, but make sure it's in line with your sustainability, eco-friendly. It doesn't have to be something fancy. It doesn't have to be all. It just needs to be enough of a sample for someone to get an idea of what you're offering. And that's what I took that advice, and it has worked. So start off slow, make a budget, and you got to spend money to make money, and that's what I did.
Mhm. This has been fantastic. So many wonderful nuggets of advice in here and things that people can learn from it. Now, how do people follow you on social media? They're like, okay, I have to see more. I have to hear more. How do they find you out in the wild?
Okay, so absolutely have my online store, which is My HoneyB. That's just the letter B, store.com. And I am on Instagram at My HoneyB, just the letter B, store, for Instagram. And on my website, I have my contact information, email, and phone number. And I answer the phone. So you can call me if you want. I'll answer. I'll talk to you, and we can create something special.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, everyone that tuned in as well.